Can't you? You just have to smile when Robin's around. She's just delightful. But before I begin this wonderful talk, I wanted to let you know that Reverend Andy Torkelson is in our sanctuary here. And please stand up, Andy. We just love you. This fall, he will be joining us as a staff minister, and we're very excited about that. And I can tell you are too. That's cool. From Fear to Love. When I first came to this center, it was probably, 1990, 91. One of the first books I found was Love is the Answer to Creating Positive Relationships by Gerald Jampolsky. Anybody read that book? It's a classic. It's a classic. It's very old, but it's a classic. And at the time, I was divorced from a 21-year marriage, and I thought dating was really scary. And when I came to the center and started taking classes, I was trying to find out more about me. Who am I in relationship? Who am I getting involved in a loving relationship? And what do I really want out of life? Jampolsky wrote that the basis for healing the past was to heal our attitude, because it's not other people or circumstances that did it to us. Our thoughts and attitudes drew those experiences to us. And so we create positive relationships when we listen to the voice of love. My ego's voice at the time was saying, intimate relationships are not always real. So be careful, don't get hurt. And that morphed into a fear that I would be alone the rest of my life when we're in that space of not being in relationship. Maybe I would never find what I was looking for, but did I know what I was looking for? Did I really care? All these questions came up. So Dr. Andrea was offering a class on discovering the real me. And it took me like on a rocket ship to the realization that Jampolsky was right. Love is the answer. I was thinking, okay, I moved to Redding to take a job. I'm divorced. I'm building a home. Was all that based on fear, or was it based on love? Jampolsky's biggest program was called Attitudinal Healing, a belief system of love. And just like Ernest Holmes, he believed our real spiritual self is pure love, and the purpose of our relationships is to remember who we are, and at our core that we are love. By having a loving attitude, our relationships offer opportunities for learning and challenges us in our spiritual growth. So when I got the courage to start dating, those challenges showed up everywhere. But thanks to a course I took from Dr. James called Creative Living, where he drilled into our psyche to find out what's in there and heal it. You know, if you've been in Creative Living, you know what I mean. I made giant strides in seeing the pathway of love and non-judgment. My fear of relationships kind of dissipated, and my intuition increased. My intuition in meeting people increased. And so one of my friends thought, I know the perfect guy for you. He's a grade school teacher, and you'll love him. So she set us up on a blind date. And he came to my house, knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and he said, oh, this isn't going to work. He looked at my books. I had a big bookcase full of books. He says, because I don't read. And I had the composure to say, hey, you still want to go out to dinner? Which we did, and we learned a lot about each other. And at the end of dinner, it was, nice to meet you, have a good life. So it's an interesting process to go from fear to trying to be love, and then to meet these people in the world. And finally, I met the right one, obviously. But Wayne Dyer's book on the sacred self is the book we're using also this month for our talks. And he says the opposite of fear is not hate, because we can love our neighbor and hate our other neighbor. But the opposite of love is fear, because when we're in fear, you can't find love anywhere. When we're in fear, our belief in God just kind of vanishes. How could we be in fear in a universe created by love? Because love, my understanding is love is the background energy of the universe. It's what was used to create everything. Because no matter what, we can bring up love in our life. We can find that energy in ourselves. It's kind of the glue that holds everything together. When we experience darkness in life, we can go back to that time, and maybe it goes back to being a baby in mom's arms when you were truly loved. I met a gentleman one time, he said, "I've never been loved except by my cat." And I felt really sad about that. But he might not have recognized love when it was coming at him. And right now, doesn't the world's ego, the ego around the world, isn't it just full of fear? Everywhere you look, you need to be afraid of this, you need to be afraid of that. So we have to watch our ego and see if we're buying into that. I think a large segment of the population forgets that we are part of God's design. We're not here by chance. The truth is, our soul intended to be here. We're part of this divine plan. And if you've ever read Raymond Charles Barker's book, The Power of Decision, he's one of the best religious science ministers. I totally appreciate him, but he's in your face a lot. He's just really curt, but he kind of wakes you up. He says, "You were born as intelligence in a universe of intelligence to unfold, evolve, and create as intelligence. You are not an observer of the universe. You are an integral, vital part of the universe. Intelligence created you to live in these times because you have the full capacity to meet the challenges of these times. You are the right person. You're in the right place to create a right world for yourself." So there. That's Barker. But he's right. He's right. We are fully supported by the universe. But if you know anybody who's reluctant to let love in, like I was several years ago, Dyer has some good ideas about why people resist being loved, especially in the dating world. Because sometimes we feel inadequate. Are we going to measure up to someone else's expectations? We might feel inadequate and then think, well, if I had nicer dresses, maybe they would love me now. Maybe if I had a different car. Maybe if I learned a new dance. Maybe. When we're afraid of who we are, that might not be adequate. Sometimes if we're feeling inadequate and we want to prove to the world we're not, we fill up our time so that there's no opportunity to have a relationship. Nope, got too much on my calendar. Nope, Thursday, nope, Friday, nope, Saturday, nope. We may fill up our time, but the question is, are we filling up our soul? Every once in a while, it's a good thing to check in and look at our attachments. I'm totally attached to my husband, who I met here in church. I'm totally attached to our cats. They give love all the time. I'm totally attached to this center. I love it. I love the teaching. But I have to be careful if I'm too attached to the outer and become attached to being the expression of love, to being this teaching. Sometimes our outer attachments will take precedent and we miss discovering ourselves. We miss love and intimacy that you get here, just being here in the energy in this sanctuary. Because the truth is we're already complete. We're whole, perfect, and complete, and our ego says, yeah, right. And when that happens, it's time to take a good look. What are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? So any new people here this morning, if you didn't raise your hand, I wish I could say I could snap my fingers and you'd instantly know all of this. But I can't because it's a process. It's a process. Giving up what we're afraid of to replace it with love. As our vision statement says, we inspire and encourage people to live spiritually fulfilling lives. And if you look at our newsletter, at the calendar, you go, there's hardly any room to breathe around here. There's so much going on every day, morning, noon, and evening. That's intentional. It just didn't happen by chance. Being in a community, taking classes, learning, developing that inner confidence, that inner equality, that inner spirit that knows I am whole, perfect, and complete. These are all opportunities to see how much we are loved by God, by infinite intelligence, that we're already divine and that we're here on earth to learn to love. Mother Teresa said it when she was touring the United States. She said the most terrible poverty is loneliness, the feeling of being unloved. I think of young people today and the challenge with using Facebook, Instagram, all the social media, how concerned they might be at times with how they're seen, how they're judged. Am I hanging out with the right people? Am I wearing the right clothes? Am I going to the right places? Do I know how to do the right dance? On and on. I remember being a teenager. Now, I went to Catholic school and wore a uniform for 12 years, so I didn't have a lot of choice in the ego saying I'm not dressed right. And that was really good at the time. But I can see in today's world that our youth must wonder that a lot. The need for status symbols is a clue. Do I have to have a status symbol to show that I'm okay? It's a clue that there's a little fear there that could be addressed. Holmes says a truly loving mind is secure within itself and does not fear how it's perceived. Because in a healthy relationship, love is always replenished. It's giving and receiving, giving and receiving. And the trick is when we're focused on loving, no matter what we're doing, even walking down the street and smiling at someone, how it comes back to us is up to the universe. It's up to the universe. It handles the details of reciprocal love. It's often amazing. Recently, I was invited to be a volunteer chaplain at a local crisis center where people go when they're in an addictive drugs or whatever, or whether they try to commit suicide. I mean, real crisis. And after a few visits, I brought my book, 32 Easy Lessons on Metaphysics and the Science of Our Mind. I just let them lay around. And this one lady came up to me the other day and she said, "Your book is really good." I was reading it in bed, and all of a sudden I started to feel warm all over, and my heart started fluttering. So I knew this was important information. And I just smiled at her. To me, that was giving me love. And it was significant for her to say that. Because these people get timed out, and they have to go back out in the world. And many of them will come to me for a prayer. Sometimes I'm doing more prayer there than here because they're scared. They don't know what's going to happen. So I try to fill them with love in a prayer, and that they are totally supported by the universe, and that they have courage that they've used in their past, and they can use it again today to give them hope, to give them strength. So I prayed with her, and afterwards we just sat there and smiled at each other. And I said, "Can I give you a hug?" She said, "That would be wonderful." So I don't know if I'll see her next week or not. She may be timed out. But I guess she gave me a gift and I gave her one, and I just go home smiling. I really do. And so grateful there are people in our community that help these people. So how many of you read about the college entrance scandal this week? Many didn't. How many did not? Okay. This will be interesting. Because when we base our child's future on a backroom deal for alleged performance, you just wonder what's going to come back. It's all cause and effect, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. How is this going to shape your child's future when they don't understand integrity. Paul and I were talking about this, and I'm like, oh my God. When this hits the fan for the parents, I hope they go to a minister. I really do. I know some people grew up in families where they were praised when they got an A and they were punished when they got a D in any class. And so that can become a way of, I have to perform in order to get love. But in this scandal, the students didn't have to perform. The parents were fearful. They were pursuing a goal for their child at others' expense. It's insensitive, disrespectful, and those are not judgment words from me, they're action words. Because when you come to a practitioner, they want to know what's going on in your life. And those action words can help them understand where you went off track spiritually. So when we see actions like that, we know that the parents in this case were planting negative seeds for future negative experiences. And for me, that's where compassion comes in. Because we believe everyone's doing the best they can in every minute of every day, the best they can, no matter how bizarre it seems, no matter how fear has driven them to do these things. The parents were doing what they thought was the best interest of their child, get them into Harvard, get them into the Ivy League schools, get them into the UC system. There they would thrive, they would have a better chance in life, they would be successful. But the creative process is always at work through the law of cause and effect. We plant a seed in our mind, we water it with our thoughts or fears or love, and it draws like energy to us. Seed, soil, plant. That's how the creative process works. So I'm assuming the parents were fearful their child would not get into a good college, would not be successful. And that seed of fear was watered. And then out of the blue, not really, comes this company that says, for a few $100,000, and I read at one point it was over $1 million, I can get your child into the school you want. I can get someone else to take their ACT test. Even the proctor is bribed to change the tests on some of these cases. I know, it's just like... And if you want them to get a soccer scholarship, I'll take their picture and Photoshop it on the body of a really good soccer player, and they'll get a soccer scholarship even though they've never kicked a ball. And it's only going to cost you a few $100,000. So at the next practitioner meeting, beware practitioners, I'm going to ask, what kind of experiences are going to come out of this for the parents? Because we get trained in that, to look at the effect, to look at what's going on and extrapolate where did they get off track with God. What might one experience by planting the seed of fear, water it by lying, agreeing to deceit, and paying off an illegal activity? My hope is when the parents start reliving or experiencing what comes out of this, that they reach out for a minister. So you can catch yourself. Where do you have minor fear-based behavior? Because there's always a payoff for it. There's always a payoff for operating in fear. We avoid something. For the parents, this payoff is their kid does get into a school and hopes they thrive, even though they're not qualified, and then they get bragging rights that their kid's in the best school. I read yesterday that the USC system receives something like 45,000 applications a year, and they only have about 10,000 placements. So the competition is really tough. But here's a few payoffs that, if you have any fear-based behavior, that you might check on. We want to be seen as different. We want to be validated as being unique and special. We protect ourselves from having to change if we stay consistent in our fear-based behaviors. And sometimes we get to the point that there's so much guilt about living this fear-based life that we can't even forgive ourselves. And so it continues. So where's the love? God created you in perfect love. Perfect love. And it's into eternity. We're swimming in the energy of love when we become aware of it. So if you're ready to expand your spiritual journey and clear up any doubts or fears, you can bring this energy of love back into your life through what we offer here. This creative process is always at work. Seed, soil, plant. Seed, soil, plant. So we offer an experiment for you, and it's called Seva, selfless service to God. It's a Sanskrit word, and it's based on love. We have Seva team. We have 18 different Seva teams. We have landscaping. We have the choir. We have the social hall. We have helping in the office. There's all kinds of opportunities to serve. We're not saying you serve us. We're saying here's an opportunity for you to serve yourself. Because what we require with Seva, as you do any of those activities, you do them with love in your heart. We don't want fear walking in here cleaning the carpet, you know what I mean? We don't want fear greeting people at the door. We want love. So we offer you this opportunity to find how deep your well of love is and offering it to other people. Right now, it could be trimming trees and cleaning up the parking lot of all the branches that are out there, planting some flowers, cooking food in the social hall on Sunday. There are no expectations when we do this. There's no one that's going to come and say, great job. Boy, you did that beautifully. Not from the ministers and practitioners. We want you to do it for yourself. We want you to find that place of love that's reciprocal within yourself. Because when we depend on somebody else's congratulations, what is that? Fear-based. It's fear-based. So when we water the seeds of love, we are fully reciprocated in many ways. And the interesting thing is, it's a law, the law of cause and effect, and it's guaranteed. So there's no greater freedom than to realize our quest as human beings is love. Love is always the answer. And so let's do a prayer about that. We always start our prayers with, we are one. And sometimes it's, yeah. What does oneness mean? Oneness means that the infinite intelligence of the universe, God, Dad, Big Sweetie, gave all of itself in this energy we call love. Love is the word, but it's the energy. And we are all human beings because of it. And our soul came here to, let's say, get through some block or something, but came here to prove to ourselves the power of love, not only to change our life or to be a good parent, but to change the world. A world embraced with love. Oh, I can just feel all the goodness that would come of that. So as this week, as we all check in with ourselves and say, where is my fear-based behavior? Where am I afraid to be me? Where am I hesitant about smiling at someone, saying hi, offering the smallest gift of love? We have a tremendous opportunity to be part of a world that works for everyone. And I accept that for myself and you. I accept that we have this incredible talent, this incredible gift, and it's important to give more of it to a world that desperately is looking for love. I am so grateful for the opportunity to stand here with these words. As I see people in crisis several days a week, I understand how just a smile helps change their day. So I commit to giving more of myself, and I hope you do too. To help be the true person that you are in God's eyes. And it's great and it's beautiful. So in this Thanksgiving, I can release this energy now, knowing it's bubbling up through you, it's bubbling up through me. And it's perfect. And we are totally loved, whole, perfect, and complete. And so it is. Thank you.